Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Train Like a Saint and Live Like a King. This is your host, Ali Fazal, featuring the one and only Sanjeev Shivananda, advanced yoga and meditation teacher. Sanjeev Shivananda. Welcome back, Sanjeev. That was an excellent first episode. How are you doing today?
I'm awesome, Ali. Thanks again. It's great to be together once again. And I just was noticing that our first couple of episodes were really liked with the people, very popular. And we're getting a lot of suggestions that we should do it one more time. So we are back again. And thanks for doing this, Ali.
Yeah, no, of course, and the pleasure's all mine. I do concur. We were looking at the stats, actually. Thank you guys so much for listening in. We do have a lot more excellent content to share with you and valuable content. Really appreciate all the listeners. We have a very special episode for you today. Episode 2 will be featuring a more in-depth analysis of what we were talking about in episode 1. And Sanjeev ji, I was actually looking to start off right where we left off. And that was in regards to the tools of transformation that we were about to go into the specifics of last time, but we decided that we were going to use that more as an intro. And this time, we were actually going to pick your mind about exactly what these tools that you were talking about in episode 1, these tools of transformation, positive and negative belief systems that are ingrained, and what these tools are, what help us bring more positive systems in and alleviate the negative ones. So what are these tools, Sanjeev ji, and can you go into some specifics for us?
Yes, Ali. So we discussed that how these tools are so important because without tools, no important job in our lives can be done. And we discussed at length that why they're needed. And now you're asking me what these tools are. So let me just take a step back and explain that mostly when people come to me, they are either going through some very severe life challenges, issues, or sicknesses and diseases. And our purpose is twofold. First is to get a quick relief from whatever is, interfering with their lives,
right,
or creating challenges. And the second process is to have long-term effects. So this whole process requires continuous work, but doesn't mean continuous work that working with me for the rest of their life. No, once I have given all these tools of transformation and all the steps needed, then the person goes home and they can use these tools for the rest of their lives. So these tools are in the beginning, and I will explain that as we go more.
right.
In the beginning, they are pranayams and pranakriyas. Let me explain the word pranayam. There's no exact translation of the word in English. So most commonly, they're known as breathing exercises.
Right.
And that's why a lot of people think that your breath is prana, which is a misnomer. Prana is my life force energy, and pranayam means control of that life force energy. Now, what is this life force energy? It exists all around us, within us. This is the energy which is keeping me alive, keeping you alive, keeping all the plants, the animals alive. And we are constantly drawing this prana, which is there all around us at a constant rate. And we do this through our breathing.
Right.
So breath and prana are different. Breath is just oxygen, nothing else more. But prana is linked to your breathing. And not only we need the prana in our body, but we also want this prana to flow very smoothly and reach not only just every organ,
Right.
but every cell of our body. So these pranayams and prankriyas, what they do is, through special breathing methods, we draw in a lot of prana into our body and then make it flow forcefully, first of all, so that we can burn and destroy any blockages that are existing. Because say any part of body, any cell of your body which does not receive prana properly or enough prana,
Right.
it'll get sick. So we must ensure that we draw a lot of prana and then make it flow to each and every organ. So these are our initial tools, pranayams and prankriyas.
Okay, well, I mean, thank you for that explanation, Sanjeevji. And I have actually tried to take a look at what's out there in terms of like, basic Google searches in regards to pranayama. And I have noticed that there are, a lot of different kinds of poses that people do, or like with their fingers on their nose and whatnot. And is this kind of similar to what you're talking about here, pranayamas?
Yes, Ali. That's why I said I use two words, pranayams and pranakriyas.
Right.
So pranayams, I mean, it's very good that in the last little while, the pranayams have been slowly being incorporated, at least at a beginner's level, by a lot of yoga teachers. And there are some specialist teachers who are teaching these pranayams, which is awesome.
Right.
And they are very, very necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And good that they are finding a very significant place in today's yoga,
Right.
beyond the asanas. But then there are pranakriyas also, which have not found any place. And the reason is that not many people know about these pranakriyas, because for centuries they were hidden. They were kept secret, passed on like from a handful to a handful people through entire set of generations. And they are much, much more powerful than pranayams.
And Sanjeevji, why do you think that is? That they've been hidden from the masses for so long. Is there a reason that's public about that?
So one of the biggest reasons was that there was a time, ancient times, several thousand years ago, that they were known by everybody.
Right.
It was a way of life. Everybody used to practice.
Wow.
But what happened in India for several hundreds of years, India was invaded by different powers.
Right.
And many of them tried to destroy the cultural values and these ancient practices. Many of the ancient books were burnt and the teachers were prosecuted. So what happened at that time was to preserve it for the continuity of these practices. So a group of these ancient yogis or saints, they hid it and just kept it to themselves, and then very quietly passed on to a set of disciples and then further set of disciples. And we are so lucky that they did not get lost.
Right.
They were preserved. But now it's time. Times have changed now. There is nobody prosecuting anybody. So it's time now to bring those ancient practices out. And in my own experience, after learning them from my guru, who also comes from a lineage of these ancient yogis,
Right.
I have tried and with this so many people, and they work so powerfully, so quickly in bringing the transformations that we need. So these are your initial tools. And similarly, the way these pranayams the pranakriyas were hidden, similarly, the ancient higher meditative processes were also hidden. And they are the tools which we use after the pranayams and pranakriyas.
Wow. And that's as we know, these breathing exercises, they're rich in terms of their history. They come from a very rich history, and many gurus, as you've said, they have practiced this through lineages. And that's very, very unique in itself. So what you're trying to bring to the world here, Sanjeevji, is something very different than what's out there already.
That's very true. And that's, the reason of you and me both, that we are talking about this. The reason why we are kind of putting it out in the social media is that the world needs it today. I have been teaching this. I have been giving them out for many years, but on a very small one-on-one scale basis and small groups. But I have felt for a while that it's time that to bring it out to the masses, to kind of take it to the people who really want it, because there is such a thirst, such a desire in today's world to learn the higher practices. But there's not much available. There is a lot of experimentation going on around in this modern world.
Right.
But experimentation doesn't work in this field. Say, for example, I have a bachelor's degree.
Right.
And I want to experiment on like rare metals and everything. I don't even have the proper qualifications or anything to do that. And if I started doing it, I will never produce something good. I may mess up things, but I will not produce something good. So to do that research, one has to be qualified first. And then these researches and all these prankriyas, meditative practices were researched and found by very, very high level ancient yogis and saints. They raised themselves to that level that they became qualified to do that. So I have been learning almost all my life since I was 14, and I've been teaching for over 20 years. Even today, I don't feel that I'm qualified enough to alter or modify these practices. So it takes a lot of work to be able to do that. And again, I say, why reinvent the wheel?
Right.
That these practices were made after a lot of considerations and thoughts and experiences, that they work very powerfully.
Right. I mean, and I can attest to that myself. I am a student of Sanjeev Ji's teachings, and although a beginner, and it's only been a few months, and I can tell you, it did not even take me a few months to really start feeling these benefits, Sanjeev Ji. They were quite instant, and I did kind of talk about that on the first episode. And I will say one thing, Sanjeev Ji, the impact that these breathing exercises have had go way deeper than just being able to calm one down, right? There are subconscious elements and subconscious processes that are occurring during this time that go way deeper and in depth. And that leads me to my next question for you, Sanjeev Ji. What is the role of the subconscious mind from a yogic standpoint? And how do these exercises that you're giving us affect the conscious and subconscious mind?
Well, that's a very pertinent question at this point of time of our discussion. As I said, our initial tools are the pranayams and prankriyas. What it does is that whatever comes from our subconscious mind to our conscious mind, we are trying to manage it at that level. But we are not going into the subconscious mind yet. And that's why I say the question is very pertinent, because the next tools that we adapt after these pranayams and prankriyas are the higher practices, meditative practices, where we start working on the subconscious mind. And why? Because subconscious mind is a place where we store all our negativities. Every negative event that we have faced, it's in there. Say when you were 6 months old, you may not have a memory. Say something drastically negative happened. You may not even remember or even have an idea because you were too young. But it's there in your subconscious. Your subconscious mind knows every bit of it.
It's like it got programmed into us without us even realizing.
Yeah. So you may not even know that some very powerful negative event happened when you were 6 months old, but it is shaping your life, your thought processes, who you are today.
Right.
So it is at the future steps, we need to go into the subconscious and start working on the subconscious mind so that whatever is being stored there, we release it. And that subconscious mind can be better understood at a larger scale when we start understanding the different kinds of bodies that we have. So it is more understood at that level.
And Sanjeev Ji, very interesting. You mentioned bodies there, and we will get to that in a minute. But I did want to ask you. You said a lot of our negative, energies or negative karmas or negative habits are actually stored in us or come from our subconscious. But does that go the same? Is that the same for positive as well? Do our positive memories and positive experiences also shape our subconscious and lie in there?
Yes, they do. But the fact is that if you look at anybody's life, it is the negativity that prevails over the positive, because a lot of negative events that have happened in our life they have been more powerful, more intense, more shaping than our positive experience. If you look, say, for example, in your life now,
Right.
from the time you have the memory, how many of totally awesome positive moments do you remember versus totally negative moments that you experienced?
Honestly, very true. There are very, very, very few of them. Very few of them. Like, it would be mainly negative things I can sit here and talk about.
And that's true for most of the people. And that's how, and with every passing day, every passing month, every year, and all of our lives, the accumulation has become so big in our subconscious mind.
Right.
And it is shaping, without our knowing, our entire thought processes. I'll give you an example. That you go out and say to eat to a restaurant, right? You look at the menu, there are a couple of things you would really like, and there are a couple of things somebody asks, Ali, are you going to try? I say, no, I hate it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
And you think you're making a choice, but you're not. Because why you don't like a certain thing or why you like a certain thing, it has to do with your past memory that is stored in the subconscious. Maybe you tried something and it tasted so horribly to you, although it tastes wonderfully good to many other people, and then it got implanted in your memory. And now you think you're making a choice looking at the menu. You're not. Your conscious choice that you're making is totally being dictated by the experiences stored in your subconscious mind. So most of the times, even when we say we are making choices, we are not.
Wow. And that stands true for so many different things. As you're speaking, I'm sitting here thinking of countless different examples of that. Like, a lot of us will have, like a child, for example, when they go near a hot pot. This is a very, common one. And they get burned for the first time. Every time they see a pot, they have this rush of anxiety. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I make sure I don't touch that. For somebody that's gone through maybe, let's say, something traumatic, let's say, right? They've witnessed somebody get hurt, or the gunfire, or whatever it might be, something unfortunate. And now every time that they see it on TV, psychological effect, and it's holding them down. And a lot of people, what you're trying to say is they're not aware that it's not the gun or whatever it is, whatever the problem is, it's not that's scaring them, it's actually the experience.
Absolutely. So, for example, the example that you quoted is an intense one, right?
Yeah.
So, and similarly, another very intense example could be PTSD.
Yeah.
The soldiers returning from wars, they're traumatized.
Right.
They can't sleep. They can hear bombs or any small little, even a glass falls on the floor and it breaks. It sounds like, to them, it's like it brings in a memory of a grenade exploding next door, and then they're traumatized by that.
Yeah.
So it's not the glass that is breaking, falling down on the floor and breaking. No,
Right.
It's the experience, that traumatic experience they are carrying within them. So what, at initial level, I said, what we do is that whenever a negative event happens in our life, when it gets stored in the subconscious mind, along with it gets stored the particular breathing pattern along with it. If you notice, when you're angry, or you're upset, or you're anxious, or you're happy, ever try to notice your breathing pattern, you will find that every emotional component that you experience carries a different breathing pattern along with it. And when a negative event or even a positive one gets stored in your subconscious mind, along with it gets stored that particular breathing pattern. And that's why when you see somebody having a bad dream, if you ever see somebody, you will see that whatever that person is dreaming, the breathing has gone totally according to that experience.
Like they start panting.
So when we do the pranayams and prankriyas, we are altering these breathing patterns, the disturbing breathing patterns, to bring down to normal. But again, this is to give you a very quick relief, because changing these breathing patterns is still not doing anything to what you are storing in your subconscious mind. So the next tools are the ones that we work on the subconscious mind. And then, like I said, to understand subconscious mind, we must understand, at least at a beginner level, the different bodies that we have. Because I am not this physical body. That's not my only existence. In fact, this is the weakest of my existence, of my bodies. This is the weakest of the all bodies. And rest all the bodies are influencing in, and it is acting totally under the control of the other bodies.
Wow. You know what? Like leading into the next question here in regards to the bodies, when you say these 5 bodies, like you say one is physical, are you able to go into the specifics for all of us here, Sanjeev Ji, in regards to what are the other 4 bodies that you speak of and what are their roles in terms of yoga-based wisdom?
So Ali, we have 5 bodies.
Okay.
Right? And each body being subsequently more stronger and more powerful than the previous one. And we have names for these bodies from our ancient, learnings. So our physical body is known as Annamaya Kosha. Kosha means the body, and Anna means food. So basically this physical body is made of food, nothing else. When you were born, you were very little.
Yeah.
Now you're a big man. What made it happen?
Oh, lots and lots of burgers and hot dogs.
Yeah, food. Food, right?
Yeah.
So it's only food. So it's made of predominantly of food. And it's got organs, parts, and like a very highly mechanized, the most amazing piece of machinery ever created, Say, for example, our heart, kidneys, all the modern scientists are trying to make artificial heart or kidney. And we're still not able to do it, like one part or the other. And we are full of these amazing, amazing parts, which are working non-stop from the day you're born till the day you pass away, like tirelessly, endlessly. So this is our physical body. Although being such an amazing piece of machinery, it's the weakest. And the next second body is known as the Pranayama Kosha. Again, the second body made of prana. As we explained before,
Right.
Prana is the life force energy. It is energy, made of energy, but a gross energy. It's not a subtle energy.
Right.
And it's a replica of your physical body. And it has all the organs, all the parts that you have in your physical body. You have replica of that in energy form of all the organs.
Incredible.
And also, the second body has channels, we call the nadis, 7.2 million of them, through which the prana flows and goes to each and every organ, every part, every cell receives. Like the way we have in a physical body all the nerves going to every part. Similarly, you have the nadis going everywhere. And for another day, another podcast, we'll talk about more extensively on this. This is the body where through these nadis, we have the creation, the formation of chakras. And today, there's a lot of talk, a lot of interest being shown, but then that's a huge topic, maybe for another day or next podcast, perhaps. And now there is the third body, which is more stronger and more powerful than the first 2 bodies. And it's known as the Manomaya Kosha, or the mind body, which is your conscious mind, all the thoughts that are going in. And as I said, the thoughts are always linked with emotions.
Right.
So now, although the Pranayama Kosha is powerful in the physical body, but my thoughts are going to control my breathing, my prana, and that will affect my physical body also. If in my mind, conscious mind, I have thoughts of anxiety or anger, it is now affecting my second body and changing the way the prana is flowing or the way prana is being drawn into the body, and eventually it'll affect my physical body. So more stronger and powerful than the first 2 bodies.